Ora sir, welcome to you.
Sir, you are getting a call from Sunil Amasti.
Ora sir, welcome to you. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to you, sir. We'll start the program, sir.
So kind of you, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to address the people on this particular
Sir.
subjects. So,
We'll proceed now, sir. Please, sir, I'll proceed, sir.
sir, I'm proceeding right now. So
I'll proceed, sir. I'll proceed, sir, first. I'll
okay,
proceed.
sir. Okay, sir.
Sir, direct income taxpayer services has always been in the forefront, taking the important policy framework of the Government of India. Taxation matters directly to the taxpayer doorsteps. In this regard, DGTS has been regularly conducting webinars and outreach programs on various subjects that are of immediate relevance, interest, or importance to the trade, importers, and exporters. Today's webinar is on the topic sensitization of dual use technologies covered under SCOMET in the international trade. I am the Assistant Director of DGTS Chennai Zone. Inform that mic is muted, camera disabled for all the participants other than the speakers in the session. Mic is muted to avoid uninterrupted interruptions so that the speaker is audible to all. The camera is disabled to avoid bandwidth relations issues to have an interruption-free session. So now I have my ADG has sent a message because he's urgently gone some meeting. Sir has sent a message. I'll go through it for all participants, please. SCOMET stands for Special Chemical Organisms, Materials, Equipment and Technologies. It is India's national export control list for dual-use items, munitions, nuclear-related items, including software and technology. This SCOMET list is used to regulate the export of items that have potential applications in military, nuclear, chemical, biological warfare, preventing their misuse. SCOMET items are dual use, meaning they can be used for both civilian and the military purposes. The export of SCOMET item is either prohibited or permitted under a license from the DGFT. The SCOMET list is organized into some categories, including nuclear materials, toxic chemicals, microorganisms, materials, equipment, and technologies. This webinar program is to sensitize the taxpayers regarding the rules and regulations related to SCOMET exportation. Now I call upon Sunil Ahmed sir, NEC member, AFTPT Vice President, TPCA, Tirupati Secretary, Tirupati District TPCA. There was a guest address, please. Sunil sir.
Let me start, sir.
Sunil Ahmed sir will give guest lecture, sir. Sunil Ahmed.
Sir. Sir, very good afternoon to everybody, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, it's a very dynamic measures has been taken by NASIN because the SCOMET is related to the dual technologies, which is related to national security. And the trade has to know how it has to be dealt with. So it is a very good initiative by NASIN, and I appreciate the CGST department who has conducted this webinar so that the exporters will get good knowledge about this, how to they deal with these commodities, because these are dual use goods and they are very much needed for our national security towards biological weapons and all. So very good initiative, sir. Thank you and appreciate this, sir. Let this webinar continue, sir, and we will take all the notes which you give, sir, and we will forward to our traders, sir. Thank you, sir.
So kind of you. Let me start now. If anybody else has to speak, then please let me know. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dinesh Kivora, and I'm feeling absolutely delighted.
Vora sir.
Sir.
1 minute, before that, one member is there. Sumit Kedia sir will give guest lecture.
Sir. Please.
Sumit.
Yeah, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Very good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Respected Speaker Dinesh sir, participants and other officials. This is Sumit Kedia here representing CII. Very interesting topics, SCOMET. There is little less awareness about these rules regarding SCOMET in the market. Like in the introduction, it was said that SCOMET stand for Special Chemicals, Materials, Equipments, Organisms and Technologies. So there are certain these products. There are certain products basically which are for dual use. Example, it can be used for industrial use, medical use, and also it can be used for missile, weapons, etc. So this session is a welcome move because it will help Indian exporters comply with international norms, prevents misuse of sensitive technologies, avoids legal trouble and trade restrictions. So definitely, I hope this session will highlight various important information regarding what constitutes dual-use technology. A lot of people are even not aware what is dual-use technology and why it's important to comply with export controls. So thanks to DGTS for again organizing another webinar, which is of, I think, well awareness for our members. Thank you, DGTS.
Thank you very much for your kind appreciation. We always welcome your move towards conducting more and more webinars in future. Now we'll invite Vora sir. Vora sir is Dinesh Kumar Vora, IRS Assistant Commissioner, retired. Sir joined in 1978 as service. Sir had done MBA in Mumbai University in HRD. He got specialized. He works in news channels also, YouTube channels also. Got various experience in various different fields. Now I request sir, DK Vora sir, to make the presentation on the topic today, please. Vora sir, please go ahead, sir.
Kind of you, sir. Let me begin right now. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dinesh Vora. I feel happy to address all of you, but before I start, let me pay my gratitude to Nirav Kumar Malik ji, the ADG of the Chennai. Also, our Sunil Ahmed ji and Sumit Kedia, my fellow officers and other participants from the trade who are attending this session. Actually, this topic is extremely important from many aspects, many contexts. In a way, sometime in these volatile situations, when we are passing through rough times, and there are actors and the state actors, and we fear those non-state actors particularly taking the advantage of certain technologies, certain materials, and then taking them into their own hands to devastate the humanity, then it becomes imperative on our part just to create the safeguard for the humanity actually. SCOMET was one subject which was not discussed much, but of late it has become very extremely important. When I was in my job and I had taken the initiative for these commodities training programs and also participated in the international programs who were actually imparting such kind of education to the officers as well as trade in India and other countries. And at that time, I came to know about the importance of such kind of subjects which should be imparted to both trade as well as the officers. To create an awareness on these subjects is extremely important because from the angle of national security and for the safeguarding of our own citizens of this country, I think it's extremely important that we understand SCOMET or the dual-use technology, materials. Many years back, it was felt that there are many elements, the human elements, who are trying to take advantage of some kind of scientific innovations. And since everything has got the two sides of a coin, if on one side we can take benefit of these technologies and materials, on other side, these same technologies and materials can devastate the world. If the uranium can be used for the goodness of human being for creating the power, energy, on the other side, it can be very well used for the purpose of creating the nuclear weapons which can devastate humanity and the people. And then there had been n number of instances in the recent history when we saw that the biological weapons and the chemical weapons were also used. And incidentally, in the world trade or international trade, when we clear the goods for the export and import, or maybe as a producer of these goods, as manufacturers, I think there is a terminology called ethical selling. There should be a sense of responsibility that if we are manufacturing something, are we selling it to the, you can say, the responsible people, or we are selling it to the irresponsible people who can take advantage of these goods or technology, and then they can kill thousands or the millions of people at one time. Incidentally, this subject acquired more importance in last 2 or 3 decades when there was formalization of rules and regulations and the laws on the said subject. And the United Nations also got into the picture, and they passed certain kind of resolutions, and that was to safeguard the humanity. Now, what exactly was the purpose? The purpose was to misuse of so-called many items and ensure that exports or imports are conducted responsibly. And they should align with the basically welfare and the security of the people of any country, not just in India. So SCOMET is basically a list of goods and technology that the entire world or many countries, including India, regulates for the purpose of export due to their potential use, or rather dual use, which is civilian and the military, or the strategic importance. I have gone through many such, you can say, experiences in my life when I had worked in the exports and imports. And many a times when I had addressed the people from trade bodies and also our officers from the various, you can say, formations. And I tried to just explain to them about what exactly is this commodity training, what exactly is this SCOMET items, why it is so important. And most of these items are either prohibited or permitted with some kind of qualitative restrictions. And these restrictions are necessary because if they fall, these so-called technology or materials, if they fall in the wrong hand, then what kind of devastation it can take, what kind of damage it can do the humanity and you and me. So SCOMET is basically a list which is prepared by international bodies and almost ratified by India as well as many other organizations, many other, you can say, countries also. Now here, without going into the much of so-called nitty-gritty, the word SCOMET itself, what it speaks of, SCOMET, special chemicals, organisms, materials, equipments, and technologies. There are 8 categories also. I'll come to that one later on. And these 8 categories is about the chemical weapons or the chemicals, biological weapons or the biological, you can say, materials, the nuclear weapons or nuclear materials, and in general, some other kinds of weapons or materials which can be used for the, you can say, both ways, for the benefit of humanity as well as devastation of humanity. Now, where exactly we can find these lists of SCOMET items? It's already there on the DGFT list, Director General of Foreign Trade, and Ministry of Commerce also circulate it. We, either as a trade person or as an officer, must be aware that these items we are dealing with in export and import, or in the production, or in the manufacturing, or in the supplies, even inside the country, not just export and import, whether we are selling it to the right people. Now, here the question of ethical selling comes into picture. Now, why this term ethical selling? If somebody is producing something is being manufactured, then it can be sold to any person. There is a buyer and a seller. But here one has to determine that the buyer, if I am the producer, I am the manufacturer, then the buyer should be a sensible person. Buyer should be a man of responsibility. The buyer should be a person who will be using these technologies or materials for the benefit of humankind not going to use it against the humankind. But not many times this picture comes to our mind that whatever we are producing and whatever we are selling, anybody can come and buy. It's something like if I am a manufacturer of the revolvers or the pistols or maybe machine guns or stun guns. Can I sell it to anyone? Is it possible? The answer is no. If suppose my factory is producing some aircrafts, fighter aircrafts, can I sell it to anyone? Answer is no. If my factory is using or manufacturing some kind of weaponaries, can I sell it to anyone? The answer is no. In the similar manner, when all these items, or maybe say a nuclear bomb also, or the chemical bombs, or the biological weapons, then the materials which are being used for that purpose, the inputs I am talking, can those inputs be sold without any sense of responsibility? Or we should take care that these so-called materials and technologies should also be sold to the people with some kind of sense for the humanity. So here ethical selling comes into the picture. And I think many times as a manufacturer or as a factory person or as a trader, we are not aware of these so-called, you can say, provisions that anything which is being produced can be sold to any person. No, it cannot be sold to any person. The reason is very simple, that there has to be some kind of restriction, there has to be some kind of sense of responsibility, there has to be some kind of prohibition on that one, that whom it can be sold. And sometimes it happens that even restriction comes on us also as a manufacturer or as a factory person, that can we produce it? Do we have the license to produce it? Then end user comes into picture. First, the producer come into picture, then the end user come into picture. The entire gamut of SCOMET means there has to be a kind of sensible, you can say, understanding of what we are producing and what we are selling in this world. Many times I have come across some examples that I have gone through, that when I was dealing with one of the specific cases, and the one person who was exporting the steel rods to a country, actually simple steel rod, but it was solid steel rod, and maybe its diameter was less than 1 inch, maybe 2 centimeter approximately, less than 1 inch, and the length was something around 1 meter or 1.5 meter. And the price being shown on the so-called export bill was exorbitant. And that shocked me actually. That was education to me also. Because when I looked at the normal rod, maybe it must be weighing around 1.5 kg or something like that, 2 kg. And 2 kg of stainless steel rod, which is costing on so-called export bill at more than 50,000 rupees, which in actual terms should have been valued at say around 500 rupees or 300 rupees or 1,000 rupees. Immediately when something goes much beyond that one, there should be some alarm bells in the mind of the officers also, and there should be alarm bells in the minds of people who are dealing with it actually. That how come a simple stainless steel rod, which is approximately, you can say, weighing 1 kg or 2 kg, it's solid one, but how can it cost rupees 50,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees? Then I went into the case and I got enlightened by that one. I spoke to the person who was dealing with the manufacturing of such kind of items. And I asked him that this particular item, what you are exporting here, is it under some special category? He said, I don't know about it, but this is special item. I say, you have declared it as a stainless steel item. I say, fine, but stainless steel is not that expensive. The stainless steel item is not that expensive that it may cost more than 50,000 rupees. And then he explained to me that there is something special to it. And I asked him, what is that special thing? Explain to me, so that I shall be justified in passing it as the right kind of export item, which is going to the right kind of person abroad somewhere. And then when I explored that person, and then I saw some other details on the Google about such kind of materials, which can be, you can say sensitive one also, or which can be super specialized steel also. That time I realized, yes, that super specialized steel is being used maybe in the spacecrafts, which is going into the space, and then they face very high degree of temperature while going there, maybe 2000 degree, 3000 degree, 4000 degree. And there should be a steel which doesn't get melted at that particular level at 4000 degree or 5000 degree. And normal steel melting point was around 1000 degree or 1200 degree. If any steel which doesn't get melted at 4000 degree and remains intact, it means there has to be something special. Its composition has to be something special. It may not be steel. There is something else which is being added to it. That can be nickel also, that can be titanium also, that can be some other precious metal or some critical elements which are right now big in the news. And then I came to know, yes, these are certain kind of elements when added to stainless steel, they increase the melting point of this one, and they can very well be used in the space technology. They can very well be used in the rockets. They can very well be used in the defense technology. They can also be used in certain items where certain places where some refineries are there where chemicals are being kept. A normal kind of stainless steel will get melted in those so-called chemicals, but these kind of steels will not get melted when special type of chemicals are filled into that one. That made that kind of steel absolutely special. I am just giving you one example, one item, that why it becomes so expensive. Like aircraft engines are there. Now, aircraft engines, you may feel it is made of stainless steel and its blades are also made of stainless steel and some metal items. But if you look into the details of those engines, whether it's a fighter aircraft or maybe civilian aircraft, a large portion of these so-called engines, as far as metal is concerned, they are made of titanium. The titanium becomes a much, you can say, better part of that stainless steel, and titanium is much expensive. So these items which are being produced from the super specialized steel, they become very, very expensive in a way. Now they should be declared actually because they have got limited use, but a specific use, very specified use is there. We should know if we are exporting these items can be utilized for the good of human beings, but these items can also be utilized by the non-state actors for devastation of humanity. That is absolutely clear here. So why this subject is important? For traders, for manufacturers, for factory owners, for offices, that there must be total awareness of what we are producing, and there must be total awareness whom we are selling it actually. And there are, as said, there are qualitative restrictions on that one. And those qualitative restrictions is as per the DGFT. It means as per the Indian laws, the export of dual use items and technology under our trade policy is regulated, and export of dual use items and technology is either prohibited or permitted under a license. In a foreign trade policy, dual use items have been given the nomenclature of special chemicals, organisms, materials, equipments, and technologies. I started my session with this one example here. But ultimately, these things have to be understood by us that in this world, when there is a lot of volatileness, extreme, you can say volatileness, and there are people who are out to take advantage. I think many decades back, United Nations and other countries got worried about it, that with the modernization and the technological upgradations, with the new softwares are coming, new hardwares are coming, it is necessary that we must have some kind of control over them so that these things which can be sensitive in the nature do not fall in the hands of, you can say, those people whom we call sometimes non-state actors. And then United Nations Security Council passed a resolution 1540 in this regard. And this was extremely important because Here they came out with a layered non-proliferation defense. They created some treaties, and based on those treaties, we tried to create those safeguards for the humanity, which were in the form of, say, biological weapons treaty, chemical weapons treaty, missile technological regime, and then nuclear proliferation treaties. This was a global initiative, and I think UNSCR Resolution 1540 is an extremely important step as far as safeguarding of humanity is concerned on collective basis by United Nations here. Now, keeping that in mind, in 2004, this resolution was adopted. It's just 21 years back. And then it was thought upon that there should be non-proliferation of nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons and their delivery systems. See, the one part is that you produce that one, something which is related with the nuclear, biological, or chemical. And the second part is you have to deliver them. It means if you have, say, created a bomb or a missile or something, then it has to be delivered also. So delivery system has to be there. So delivery system is also very important. And later on, when a missile technology control regime was also brought into that one, that became a full picture here that when we are producing something which is sensitive in the nature, and then we must also control their delivery system as far as Resolution 1540 was concerned. So wholeheartedly, most of the countries supported it, and the global non-proliferation came as the first line of defense as NPT, Treaty on the Non-Proliferation on the Nuclear Weapons, then Biological Weapons Treaty, then Chemical Weapons Treaty. And this was one of the most important steps taken by, you can say, collective effort of humanity through United Nations, that we must safeguard ourselves, where we must pledge to ourselves that anything which goes into the making of these kind of weapons, the inputs, the raw materials, the technologies, or anything else, they must be controlled and they should not fall into the wrong hands, which can just kill us or devastate us. So it was a noble beginning in this manner, where some kind of controls were being put in place. Then there had been some international agreements to that one, and incidentally, the four major agreements which came into picture, which normally we call it second line of defense, which was the Wassenaar Agreement and Nuclear Supplies Group Agreement, Australia Group, and Missile Technology Control Regime, which I just talked about. Now, incidentally, just few years back, we joined Wassenaar Arrangement and the Australia Group also. Here, let me tell you, the Wassenaar Arrangement is for those weapon systems which are in the general category, which are not in the category of nuclear weapons or chemical weapons or biological weapons. They are general category weapons, but they may be used as critical elements. I'll give an example right now. Just 10 days back, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in India, it was blamed that they had received some critical equipments and parts from a British firm, which they illegally exported to Russia. Now, HAL is a government organization, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. And this news came into some of the very big international newspapers like New York Times. Later on, the Foreign Ministry also declined that any such thing has happened, and HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics, is not involved in any kind of such camouflage or illegal exportation to the Russia, which is under the sanction list right now. Now, such kind of news, when they emerge, they do a lot of damage actually. It means what was being exported there? There were equipments which relate to the cockpit, avionics, electronics. It means something which was needed for upgradation or maybe the maintenance of Sukhoi fleet with Russia. Of course, I also never believed that this kind of, you can say, supplies could be made by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, because Hindustan Aeronautics Limited is a state actor. It is not a non-state actor. It's a responsible actor. And as an Indian, we are very proud of it. And Hindustan Aeronautics Limited will not do anything illegal. But there were certain Indian firms which were sanctioned few months ago that they had supplied some restricted items to Russia, which came into the sanctioning regime by some countries after Ukraine war. And there had been some illegal, you can say, passage of these so-called restricted technology and material to Russia, actually. So of late, a lot of such news where these technologies or equipments or materials are being supplied to various countries who were under sanctioning regime, actually. So that also came to picture. And here Wassenaar arrangement or agreement is for those items which are not nuclear, which are not chemical weapon oriented, which are not biological weapon oriented, but these are the general category weapons. And India is also you can say signatory to this one. India is also member of WA. Nuclear supplies group, this is one group India still has not entered. India is trying hard to enter into that one, this exclusive peer group, but still a lot of countries are vetoing India and India is not able to enter. However, Australia group is with regard to the chemical weapons, and India also just few years back joined this one. Missile control technology regime is extremely important, and few years back India joined that one. Here, MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime, 34 members are there. Nuclear Supplies Group, 46 members there. Australia Group, 40 members are there. And around Wassenaar Arrangement, 40 members are there. So out of 200 countries, these so-called groups, 4 groups, have got small number of countries which are less than 25%. Being member of these groups enable you to get those kind of technologies or equipments or materials. Now, why I'm talking about these things and why they are important? Because if you are a trader or you are a manufacturer or if you have a factory or if you're an officer, then if you are producing something or making something or manufacturing something, and suppose if you are exporting a material which can be used in the missile technology or in the chemical weapons or in the biological weapons or in the nuclear weapons, then you can sell them to only these nations, not outside these nations. If suppose a country like say Pakistan, which is not signatory to these so-called agreements and arrangements, if somebody tries to sell certain materials to them, then you will not be allowed to sell. Or maybe 150 other nations who are not member, you will not be able to sell them. Even one case which I had come across in, of course, many cases which I had caught in my time, rather, and then we had to seek the explanation from the producers and manufacturers that one very small thing which is being used in the chemical labs, what we call it is a silica crucible. You must have heard the name silica crucible, which we used in the chemical labs actually, where we can put some kind of materials or some kind of liquids into that one. Now, when I came across a particular kind of silica crucible, which is normally not very expensive, maybe 200 rupees, 400 rupees, 500 rupees, as something which is extremely expensive as 1 lakh rupees or more, then it struck me how a silica crucible, which is being used inside a so-called chemical lab, can be so expensive. And then when I went into detail and then I found that this particular crucible can be easily used in holding the molten plutonium, which is a nuclear material. Now, this is something which is we have to keep in mind, that there are many kinds of super specialized, you can see these equipments, small equipment, but very expensive one, which can hold, you can see the molten plutonium. That time it struck me that this is very special and it cannot be exported to countries where some kind of nuclear restrictions are in place. And in case we are selling it to those countries which can use it or misuse it, then what will happen? So we have to ascertain these things as a trader, as an exporter, as a manufacturer, that if we are selling it, then please go through the DGFT list, that which are the countries authorized who can receive these items if you manufacture them and produce them. If you're producing them, then you can get a license from the Director General of Foreign Trade. And then when in the export bills, you can very well mention it, that these are the items which have been declared under SCOMET, and we are selling it to the people who are responsible people from these countries. And I'm attaching an end user certificate. This is the company who will be receiving these goods, and I'll be getting my money back from that one. No, this kind of arrangement is absolutely essential. Essential because if it reaches the wrong hand, you can imagine what will happen. So the weapon of mass destruction can be produced. They can emit the radioactive, biological, chemical materials, but all inputs, any kind of inputs, what you are producing as a manufacturer or exporting as a trader or as an exporter or clearing them as an officer of customs or GST or CBEC, then it becomes highly important that we all must behave responsibly. Like the chemical weapons can be used as mustard gas and chlorine gas, which basically was used in the World War I, and the thousands and lakhs of people were killed with that one. We have the biological weapons and anthrax. You must have heard about it, that how some people got killed, and still there is a lure by non-state actors to use such kind of powders or biological, you can say, inputs to kill the people all over. Or maybe this is the anthrax attack. You can, I will request our coordinator to send it my PPT to the all participants so that later on they can go through it. And in 2001, there was the anthrax attack also. Then nuclear weapons and all kind of materials. And many times I have come across in my job where some materials were being exported, and those materials must have been checked by all that they will be reaching the responsible hands, and the end user people are the ones who are under the nuclear supplies group. Or maybe if somebody is not under the nuclear supplies group, then at least they have no sanctions on them, so that they can be supplied with those nuclear materials or equipments or technology. Like India is one, still not a member of NSG, Nuclear Supplies Group, but still we can have the peaceful use of these weapons. Bangladesh is building one Rupur nuclear plant, and India is actively participating in that construction along with Soviet Sangh, or old Soviet Union, now Russia, of course. And Bangladesh is also not a member of NSG, but still for peaceful purpose, the power production can be done through the uranium or zirconium. Now, sometimes what happens that for officers purpose, this becomes very important, that what exactly is the difference between here, the proliferation procurement differs from the traditional smuggling. Now that in the traditional supplier, the cartels are there, illicit substance like drugs and contrabands are being transported, they are concealed and shipped. Like recently you came across a case where a South India's one of the leading, you can say, film heroine was caught with a lot of gold recently, and she's behind the bars right now. So those are so-called old traditional means of smuggling. But here what exactly happens in this world, the proliferation takes place legally here. Here we don't have the smugglers. Here we have got this commercial suppliers, manufacturers, exporters, traders. And there is a legitimate use of dual use commercial goods. It can be used in the right manner. It can be used in the wrong manner. Then there are proper distribution networks, there are legal distribution networks, there are procurement networks are there. Typical, you can say normal, a general class of transactions are there. So it means, but these items can be diverted from the commercial market to the other markets, illegal market, in the clandestine manner. Now, we have to keep this particular in the mind that such kind of things are done legally in this case, but we have to be extremely, extremely careful about it. Then, if we come to next, what exactly we need to do? We have to strengthen the effort which can basically prevent the proliferation of any kind of materials or equipments or technology, and it can reach to only actually licensed people, legal people, state parties through a licensed process. And governments all over have agreed under UN Resolution 1540 that such kind of things should be manufactured, produced, traded, exported with absolutely sense of responsibility that the people who will be receiving it, the end users, are the people who will be using all these things for the benefit of humanity and not otherwise. And also see to it that they are not being diverted to other people. Now, India is a signatory to the various international treaties to prevent the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, nuclear, radiological, chemical, biological weapons, and some others. And we are also nuclear power, and we are responsible for nuclear power. We don't threaten the people, and fully committed to the international safeguards and obligations and responsible nuclear power state. And India has in place effective export control enforcement in line with its commitment to international obligation. Incidentally, when this SCOMET was being introduced, and India has always been among very first in the United Nations to sign various kinds of treaties which are good for humanity. And we must take pride that our officers are also well trained. I also take great pride in our commercial establishments like CII and some other international, you can say, commercial institutions in India, which are working with a great responsibility. I have met them many times, and sometimes some seminars are being organized by them, and on various issues, maybe like ATA Carnet or maybe the SCOMET or some other issues. And I have had the fortune in person in Mumbai and other places to address these kind of seminars being organized by our trade bodies, which are doing a great responsible job for the security of the country and also welfare of the nation, that they do organize such kind of seminars and such kind of shows, and they create awareness. So I got the great appreciation for these trade bodies. It's the FICCI or the CII and some other trade bodies are doing a great job for the nation. And I also take great pride in them because those trade bodies have got some fantastic professionals, well-trained professionals, well-guided professionals. And that's quite different from the people who are from the abroad. Many times when I attended those international conferences on the international subjects also, and I have found that very large number of nations, when they send their representative on those international conferences, they are not well versed with the subjects. No, they are not well versed. Moreover, sometimes there are nations who send strange kind of people to these so-called seminars or so-called shows, and they come for the fun only. They come with the families and they enjoy and go back. They do not know what exactly they have to speak, what have to say in those shows actually. So I think I feel pity for them. But India has been one nation which either Government of India's our own bodies, whether Central Excise and Customs and GST, or maybe the other ministries and our own training wings are there. Then these trade bodies are there. They're doing fantastic job. And our people, whether from trade bodies or from our officers' side, when they go into the international conferences, they are well prepared for that one. And that's one reason that Indian professionals, either from the government sector or the private sector, they have always presented a fabulous and fantastic picture of that they're not just well trained, that they know their so-called materials well, they know their subject well, they know that where exactly they are, and that's why they are the great influencers in the world. I've got a great appreciation for Indian professionals from the both private sector and you can say the government sector also, that their training programs and their professionalism comes very handy as far as our prestige goes. Now, what exactly happens here, that I'll come to the list, just the list is small here, here it's bigger. What exactly are those items which we should be extremely careful? When we talk in general, so the chemical, organisms, material, equipments, and technology, there can be various kind of equipments. There can be some fabricated parts and components. There can be electronic parts. There can be industrial equipment. There can be systems and subsystems, the materials, the structure materials, the metals, non-metals, special materials, nuclear, chemical, and biological. And yes, these days there can be softwares. Apart from the hardware, there are software, super specialized softwares, which have to be sold with a great sense of responsibility, and it's must. Now, a moot question comes here. What can be described as a dual use, which can be used for the good of human being also and for the devastation of human being also? How to distinguish between the two? Now, you can say if simple things which can be used in two manners. If suppose you got a knife, simple knife, and this knife can be very well used in the kitchen to cut the vegetables. But this knife can also be used to kill somebody. Now this is dual use. Now the question comes into mind, how do I define that if some item which is of dual use and some item which is not of dual use? I think this is the maze. I think this is complexity. Sometimes a very normal looking machine or a motor, you may feel that this motor can be used for some good use of humanity in some buildings or somewhere else or some factories. Those machines or motors can also be used or misused by non-state actors to produce or fabricate something which can kill people. It's simply just like I said, a knife, like you go in the aircraft, in the flight. So these days, the same knife which is being used at the home to cut the vegetables is not being supplied in the aircraft if you want to use in your food. Very rare thing. Previously, it used to be given. Knife used to be there, then some fork was there, spoons were there. They're all made of steel actually. Now anything can be misused also. That knife also can be misused. That fork can also be misused. In home also it can be misused. It's not that it cannot be misused. So it becomes sometimes very difficult that what exactly is so-called, what we call is for good use and what is we call it for bad use. Because anything which can be used for the good thing, I think sometimes it has got a other side of the coin also. So I think the common sense has to be applied, that something which can be a sensitive item, and I think in case of machineries or equipments or technologies or materials or inputs, so we have to keep that eye. Of course, the example of knife is very simple one, but as far as machineries are concerned, it becomes a bit complicated. But those who produce those machines, those who manufacture those machines, they know it well. Their engineers know it well, that these machines can be used somewhere else also, or it can be misused. And the DGFT guidelines are very clear on these SCOMET items. In the Appendix 3 of Schedule 2 of ITC, the Indian Trade Classification Harmonized System jo hai, and they contain a use of all dual use items and technology, export of which is regulated. Of course, I have had with me the American, you can say, dual use items, and the metals were also given to me. Machinery list was given to me by Americans, and which actually helped me. But DGFT also has come out with a very exhaustive list, and once you produce that one in your factories, if you're a manufacturer, then you can go through it. So these various, you can say, notifications are there. They can be very well referred to this one. It is for your benefit, which I have brought here. And now I'll come to those 8 categories, which I just said in the very beginning, that What are those 8 categories under which these so-called SCOMET list has been categorized? And when you export some items, you must mention that category here in the export bills, that the goods which are being exported are from category 0 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In total, there are 8 groups, 0 to 7. How they are categorized, I'll just let you know a little bit. Category 0 is basically a nuclear material, nuclear related other materials, equipments, and technology. Licensing authority for this category is the Department of Atomic Energy. In India, uh, at the cargo complex in Mumbai, we used to clear a lot of things which were being uh, certified by BARC, Bhabha Atomic Research Center. And without that certification, we never used to send those items. And they can be like isotopes also, which are being, which have got very short life, maybe 24 hours or 48 hours, and which are being used for the treatment of cancer patients also. So uranium related technologies or nuclear material related technology can also be used in medicines also. So this is category 0. Then category 1 is there, the toxic chemical agents and other chemicals. Now, this chemical agents and other chemicals, you can also found in the Australia list. This is Australia agreement is there, and there you can find those chemicals which are absolutely banned or chemicals which are restricted in the list or maybe totally prohibited in the list or open category. Then category 2 is about microorganisms or toxins. These are biological things, biological weapon things. So they also come under BWTC. That's the biological weapons treaty here. It comes in that one. Category 3 is general one, the materials and the materials processing equipments and related technology. Now materials can be nickel also, titanium also. And these days there are a lot of talks about the critical elements. What I'm talking about the rare earth elements. There are 17 rare earth elements, and 40% of its world mines are in China right now. 70% of extraction of these minerals is also by China. And 70% of these items, which are called hot magnets of rare earth elements like gallium and a lot of other names are there, 17 elements are there. And they're very expensive actually. They're rarest of rare, and only few nations have got super specialization on that one. China is one of them which can do from mining to the final product. Even in America, we do not have 1 or 2 units which can start from, say, mining to the processing. So they also have to import the item from China, actually. One country which have come recently into this picture was Estonia in Europe, actually, which has perfected the art of right from minerals to the final, you can say, processing and the final product. It's very strange that Estonia is one of the nation, and entire Europe, entire EU is pumping the money into Estonia that you build up the big units here, which can feed the European needs of rare earth elements. So we have to keep in mind the materials and materials processing equipments and their technology also. Then we come to category 4 here. Category 4 again comes to nuclear related. Now here the nuclear related other equipment assemblies and components and testing equipments which do not fall in the category 0. So there are 2 categories given for the nuclear technology or related materials and assemblies and components and test production equipments actually. So apart from its category 0, category 5 is about your aerospace systems. And this is extremely important these days. In very beginning, when I told you that the steel being used in these particular, you can say, sector, they carry very high degree of melting points because when missile systems or rocket system, when they go into the space and they sometimes when it's for good use, then they carry the satellites, which is enclosed in these rockets. So the cushion has to be there. The covering has to be as such, which can take on the heat of around 4,000 degree or 5,000 degree after friction, and still it can protect the satellite inside. Like 2 of the recent, you can say, astronauts who came back, Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, 2 people who were stuck in the so kind of space for more than 9 months, and they were brought back just recently on the Earth actually. So a basic worry was that when they are coming back and they were to enter into the space of Earth, or you can say the gravitational system of the Earth, then there will be friction and there will be outside temperature of 4,000 to 5,000 degree, and the metals which are being used to have that kind of capsule which will be coming down, it can withstand that one, and then it can also protect the inside temperature. So these are very critical technology which are being used in the space, and I think they also found place in the SCOMET list. And aerospace systems, the equipment including production and the test equipments, related technology and specific design components and accessories. So one has to keep that. If you are exporting such items, please mention them at the category 5 this one. Category 6 is for future actually. It is not there as per my knowledge is concerned, the information is concerned. And category 7 is everything which is electronics, electricals, computers, information technology, AI, robotics, blockchain, whatever might be, what are the new technologies are there. It is being mentioned in that one. Now, we have to keep in our mind that all these things which are being explained by me or just informed to you, that they are extremely important. Here, your honesty, your integrity, your basic attitude, honest attitude, the truthfulness come into picture. That if, as a producer, as a manufacturer, as a factory owner, if we tend to sell these things to the people to earn something short money, then things become very difficult. Or maybe sometime as an officer, we try to clear such goods due to certain allurements, then we must think that we are doing a great damage to humanity. We are trying to be part of that system, non-state actors, which can devastate the humanity. And I think the legal framework, what we have got on this in this regard is very, very clear. Where the Foreign Trade Policy is there, then Weapon of Mass Destruction and the Delivery System Act is there, Atomic Energy Act is there. There are notifications, there are resolutions, which number I have mentioned here very clearly. So apart from that one, the Chemical Weapon Convention Act is there, Arms Act is there. DGFT has updated the SCOMET list. Every year it gets updated. So notifications are there. India's handbook is also there. And then most important, the end user certificate is there. Now, why this end user certificate? Because original end user certificate in the format as in Appendix 36 of the letterhead of the end user, indicating complete detail of the export product and purpose for which the item of export will be used by end user, must be furnished by post to DGFT. The letterhead of the end user must carry complete address and telephone numbers. Now, of course, telephonically and of course by computer system also it can be done. So end user certificate must be submitted with the export bill. And then what officers have to do, who are clearing it, the check destination of export cargo. You can then check the consignee of export cargo, check end user certificate, check license from DGFT on export of SCOMET goods. As far as GST officers is concerned, if they are not involved, say in the export and import, but they are supervising the factories, the manufacturing units. So they must ascertain sometime from the owners or so-called chief engineers that what exactly is being produced by these manufacturing units and whether they fall into the list of SCOMET items, whether they can be termed as a dual-use materials, equipments, or technologies. And here the role of trade associations like CII and others, the manufacturers, the officers of GST, they come into picture. That as a responsible person, as a patriot person, as a person who's devoted to the cause of this nation, they must ascertain this fact that items being produced or the maybe some equipments or materials or the metals, they're being produced are they of SCOMET origin or not? There might be possibility that a steel factory may be producing a normal steel which is being used, say, in the construction of the houses. But there might be a chance that these so-called steel units might be producing other kind of super specialized steel which will be used by, say, space organizations or the rockets or for missile technologies. That's there. Or maybe certain pumping systems, certain machinery system, or certain other kind of equipments which can be used. You must go through those lists which are being provided by DGFT, that what are those machines or those equipments which can be having the dual use, you can say. And I think that is extremely important thing. That will be an education itself for the officers in the GST or the customs. That will also be a very useful thing for the people who are from the trade associations like CII or FICCI or some other associations are there. And that will also be useful for the people who are manufacturing these things in their units. That if they think the items being manufactured by them can have a dual use or they fall under the SCOMET heads, they must be very careful about it. And while exporting them or even selling that inside the India to somebody, they must ascertain that it is going into the right hand. That's the best they can do to serve this nation. That's the best they can do to protect this nation. They can do best as a soldiers of this country. Soldier in the sense every citizen is a soldier. And then as the right kind of person, right kind of citizen, we can have this kind of duty-bound things that whatever is being produced is for the good of the nation, good of the humanity, good of the citizenships. And then we have to protect ourselves that we shall not do anything wrong, or we shall not fall, or a product shall not fall in the hands of non-state actors which can devastate us. This was a small presentation by me on this particular part, about 1 hour, which has been assigned to me by Chennai Nasin. And I'm really grateful to the IDG and trade associations associated with this one, and Reddy Sab also, and other officials who have coordinated this particular small lectures. And I'll be very happy if some questions are there being asked by some of the people. I'll be happy to answer them, because the time given to me was about 1 hour approximately. And I had tried to sum up the things in this 1 hour. Otherwise, some of the things were there, I would have told them. But for the beginning purpose, awareness session, I think this much is enough, that we should keep our eyes open, we should keep our ears open. And when we are living in an extremely volatile situation these days in India and in the other parts of the world, and there are wars taking place at various, you can say, zones of the world, then those people are needing such kind of technology to upgrade their weapon systems. And we have to see to it that whatever is being produced from here is going into the rightful hands, and we do not violate any kind of international so-called sanctions in place or international, you can say, regulations which are under the UNSC Resolution 1540, for which India is also a big signatory to that one. So I'm really thankful, and I would like to pay my gratitude to the CII as well as Chennai Nasan and ADG Sahab and other officers who have been related with this kind of webinar which is being organized. Thank you very much, and God bless to you all. And any questions are there from any side? Please go ahead, sir.
Sura sir, thank you very much for a wonderful and detailed presentation on the subject. I think all participants might have got a lot of clarity on the issue, and they got a lot of clarified doubts on this. There is one question from one Mr. Ravi sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Prakasham is asking, how can I request for withdrawal of my submitted application?
How can you?
How can I request for withdrawal of my submitted application? I think he is asking how I can withdraw my application which was submitted for export. This thing I think. Mr. Prakasham. Mr. Prakasham.
Mr. Prakasham is there?
I am asking Mr. Prakasham.
Is he there? Can he appear?
I think he is not appearing. So he can go ahead, sir. He is asking how I withdraw my application. Once he made a request and he want to withdraw application for export.
See, for export purpose, there are certain procedures with the DGFT, Ministry of Commerce. You have to contact them, and on the website, all kind of information has been provided by them. And these forms have to be filled up. You have to ascertain there that whatever items are being produced by you, you must match with the list of the DGFT whether your item also falls under the SCOMET list. If it falls, then it requires ratification and approval because then you fall under the restricted list of. And for this restriction, then every time you export something, then you need to inform them that these are the items which I have produced under the license number so and so for which the approval I got from DGFT I am exporting, and these so-called licenses numbers and so-called approvals have to be attached with the export bill at the time of exports. But yes, it is not so easy going to government offices and getting it done, but these days online systems are available and one can take benefit of that one and register themselves as a producer of SCOMET items and then go ahead, sir.
Sir, thank you very much. Thank you for spending your time, valuable time with us. And they're given a good lecture today. I think all participants might have got a lot of clarity on the issue. How can they export? How should they get the certificates? How they can should not misuse the certificate. I think all angles they might have got clarity on this issue. Sir, once again, thank Mr. Sunil Ahmed and Sumit Kedia because they spend their valuable time with us on webinar. They are supporters for us to conduct webinars each and every time. So I request Kedia and Ahmed sir to participate more and more webinars. And I thank Vora sir to spend time with us. Once again, thank each and everyone for participants in this webinar, sir. Thank you very much.
Sir, if Mr.
Sir, close the
Sunil,
webinar.
sir, if Mr. Sunil Ahmed wants to say something from CII and one more person was there, I think. If
So this is Sumit Kedia.
No, Mr. Sunil Ahmed was there. He was speaking in the beginning. And then when Sumit Kedia was there, if they want to say something, please let them. I would be happy to
Kedia,
inform.
sir, you want to say something? Sumit Kedia, sir. Sumit Kedia. Sir, Sunil, sir. Sunil, sir.
Sunil and Sumit both, if they want to say something.
Yes. Sunil, sir, you want to say something about this webinar? Sumit Kedia, sir. I think they are not, sir. I
Okay.
think they are not. I think you might have gone some meetings.
Okay. No issue.
So
Absolutely.
thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all. We will close this webinar, sir. Ora, sir, again, we want to conduct one more webinar this month. I'll give the topic.
Sir, so kind of you, and I would like to pay my gratitude and thanks to you all.
Send one topic, sir. Choose one topic and send us, sir.
Sure, sir.
We have one webinar.
I'll be sending, and I'm thankful to you and ADG and other people who are in this seminar. So God bless you all, and thanks for giving me this opportunity, sir.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Sir.
you, sir.
Thank you.